How's everyone? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize for not sending the link initially. I actually locked myself out of my room, and it's been a great conference so far. I'm doing really good jobs here. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how to navigate the system. That's mainly what I want to talk about today. Some of you guys have contacted me regarding the groups, and so I'm going to show you guys how to find your groups today. And then hopefully I will take you guys to um, how to navigate and get your kits as well today. Do you guys have any questions regarding active learning? Because I know that there are some issues with that too. And I'll try to answer those at the end of the process. And so if you have your questions, write them down so you don't forget them. Or if you have questions right now, maybe we can address them as we go along. And if you guys at any point don't hear me, I can't guarantee how well my internet is going to be behaving because I'm in a hotel room and relying on the internet of the hotel. So if you guys don't hear me, let me know. Okay, so we're going to start by sharing my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to start with identifying your groups. So if you guys take a look on the side, let's see. You have this icon. It says groups. On mine, a lot of times on the students, it doesn't actually say groups. So you're actually going to select that to determine your groups. And so I'm going to select mine. My group is math, science, and health. And so in that case, this would be the page for the math and science and health group. So that group page is your group page. And so you'll be able to sit there and find out who your partners are, and then also put your group work on there. So here are the announcements. And for the first part of your project is that you have to do an announcement. So you're going to select announcements, then you're going to hit plus to allow you to add a new announcement. And so you can see I have an announcement here from the last time. So I'd go ahead and select plus. This will allow me to sit there and put my announcements in there. And so you want to introduce yourself to your group. So you want to definitely do that. The second part of your project is that you have to take a screenshot of the people that are in your group. So what you want to do is you want to go to people, and then you're able to select your group right there. You can actually see them. So all you have to do is take a screenshot of this, and then you're going to upload that as part of your assignment. And that's all you have to do in terms of identifying your group. Are there any questions on that? Okay, so you guys have been given a group project, and I'll actually go over that real quick as well too. One new person. Okay, so if you take a look here, these are your group members. I may converge a couple of groups depending on the number of drops that we have. So if you go, this will be your group site. And so one of you guys have already did the announcement. And so you've recognized where the groups are at. So then what you're going to do is, again, you're going to go to your page, you're going to select your particular group, take a picture of them, and then you'll be good to go. Okay. Questions? Any questions? Now, the reason your groups are going to be important is because they actually provide you with your information. We'll go back to the home page. So the name of your group is, let's see if it shows it all. So you guys have type of reactions. It's chapters 8 and 9, and then let's see your genre. Your genre is Disney sing-along. So your group project consists of 3 parts that you're going to have to do and work as a team to build. One of them is a parody. We'll start from the more complicated one. One of them is a page. So you guys have to write a 2,000 word paper together as a unit. So if there are 3 people in your group, or if there are 4 people in your group, you're going to be breaking it down to about 500 words each person. But you also want to make sure that you guys are working together and you're making your unit, your project work together. The topic that you guys are going to be working on, this group, is going to be type of chemical reactions. And so if you look at chapters 8 and 9, that covers the different types of chemical reactions. It gives us a good explanation. You don't have to use all of the content in chapters 8 or 9. You just want to give us a 20-minute presentation, well, enough information for your paper that you meet the word requirement and that the students that you're going to be writing for can learn the material, right? And so you don't have to cover every single detail. But if you cover the bulk of what's in chapter 8 and 9, that'll be good. But you want to make sure you have a clear understanding and that you're able to sit there and write about it in a scholarly way, but also make it easily accessible to students that will be in your community, right? So you don't want it to be, you don't want to basically cut and paste from the book, because if you guys actually start reading the chapters 8 and 9, that chapter it's kind of a dry read, and a lot of students don't respond well to it because uh, it's a little more complicated than in terms of the way it's written, in other words. And so part of your goal is to sit there and put it in language that is understandable by students that would be coming from the community that you live in. Does that make sense as well?
Yes.
Okay. So if you look on the rubric about the parody, I mean, about the page, it actually tells you that information. We want to make sure that you kind of get a grasp on that. Now, I know that you guys are excited about using technology and everything, and I actually encourage students to use AI for this part of the project. Part of it is to try to understand the topic, right? But if you put in types of chemical reactions, there are going to be tons of things that are going to come out, right? So the first thing that you want to do is kind of narrow it down. You want to make sure that you're paralleling it with what you're observing in the textbook, because again, there are so many different things when we say types of chemical reactions that will pop up. But we want to focus on the stuff that's in our learning material, okay? And you're going to be like teaching that part of the learning material. So when you're writing this, so when you do use your AI, you want to make sure that you have an understanding of what is in those boundaries, if that makes sense as well too. Okay. Okay, good. So the 3 parts of your project, let me pull that up. Okay, so the three parts of your project is going to be the page, which is going to be your part number one. I strongly recommend that you guys work on your page first. That is going to be the first thing that you want to sit there and get knocked out of the way. The second part of your project is your presentation. So now when you write your page, let's go to the assignment. And this is going to be published today, so you guys will be able to see it. So again, 2,000 words. And then these are the criteria that you're going to be grading on. So it's going to be based upon your scientific content. And again, we want stuff that's written so that people can understand it. Of course, it's science. So there's going to have to be a little bit of science understanding and science explaining that is going to have to go on. The images, it should have images included in it as well. And when you use those images, you're probably going to use images from the book or from other sources. You need to make sure that you're citing all of your sources of images. Failure to cite sources of energy, your images, means that those images weren't there. Clarity, you want to make sure that the material is understandable by common folk, people that would be in your community. And again, you're trying to educate, and you're going to be using this as an educational tool. It has to be organized. It needs to have aspects of inclusion. So that's a concept of making sure that it contains all the elements, the key components that are responsible for those chapters, the major components. And then that also means that it's conveying that information in an inclusive way so that people can understand. Your chemical equation formatting is essential. You need to make sure that you understand how to use superscript and subscript for the formatting of the project. And then you also, as I said, you want to make sure that you're citing your images and any citations that you're taking from the text or anything like that. And there shouldn't be any direct cut and paste, but there may be segments, because there's only certain ways to say certain things, that you may take quotes directly from there, but you want to make sure that you're doing citing appropriately. So also part of your group project is that you guys have to take notes for you guys to plan a session where you guys meet. And in your first meeting is going to be discussing planning your group project. And this is planning specifically part one. So it's the page itself. And so during this time, what you guys are going to do, you guys are going to discuss it. You want to make sure that everybody shows up or everybody is contributing. So whether you guys are doing it via a Zoom meeting, whether you guys are doing it via um, text or chat, all of that has to be kind of compensated for. And I know that you guys aren't going to meet up in person for real, but the idea is that you want to make sure that you guys are able to communicate with each other. It should be some type of discussion. Either you guys need to take a picture of you guys taking the text, talking to each other during that time period, but it needs to be an organized meeting where you guys plan to get together and sit there and discuss notes and how to proceed with the plan, divvying out the parts of the project and making sure that you guys are all actively engaged. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so let me take one step back. So your group project, like the whole thing all together, is due at the very end of the semester. So the notes and everything, that's going to be done here within a week or two. So that's going to be due in a week or two for that first set of notes. Then you have your presentation notes, which is also going to be the same thing. So then you're going to talk about who's going to be responsible for what images. And when you guys are going to get together, you're going to meet, and then you guys are going to sit there and plan a time that you guys can present, so that would work for you guys to be able to present to me as the instructor the presentation. Okay. There may be a few students, and I'll give you the range of when you could have those meetings. And so I'll be providing that, and I'll be posting that here within a couple of days as well too. It's essential that you guys get together. You find out when everybody is able to sit there and present, because in the past, what's happened is that we had people that wanted, who said they wanted to contribute, but they said the group made a decision to have the presentation at this point, and then they couldn't do it. So there are going to be enough hours that you guys have to choose from, that should not be an issue, if you guys understand what I'm saying.
Are we presenting it to you live or is it recorded?
It's going to be via Zoom. It's not going to be recorded. It's going to be via Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's the only, so these Zoom meetings are not required. The only thing that's going to be required is that presentation from you guys. And so again, it's going to be a 20-minute presentation. I block off 30-minute time intervals. And during that 20 minutes, it's 20 minutes of your presentation, 5 minutes question and answer. And then usually you guys show your video. I block off 35 minutes just to be safe. So I'm sure that you guys can give me 35 minutes of your time to make sure that you guys get the grade that you want. And so, and I'm very flexible about time. I've had these meetings at 4 o'clock in the morning when I first get up, and I've had them as late as, 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning, so, if there are times that better fits your group, then I'm willing to sit there and make sure that we are able to make those times. Because I think it's really important that you guys understand the importance of presentations. Most of you guys are planning to go into nursing. You guys are going to be interacting with patients. And so you need to be able to communicate. And one of the major issues with teaching online is that communication. We want to try to encourage communication between you guys as the students with each other, as well as you guys with me as well. So, any other questions? Okay, good. Okay, so then we talk about the presentation. So this is going to be the information about the presentation. And again, all of these are going to be readily available here within a few minutes after I revise their dates. And so again, it tells you what is going to be required for your presentations, the guidelines. I try not to give you too many guidelines because I want you to be creative, because your content, sometimes you guys have really good content. And I want to make sure that your content is rich. And again, it's accessible, meaning that it's able for the community to understand. And so, because a lot of times, like I've been teaching for a long time. And then when I was in the classroom, when I was learning the material, I remember the professor would talk to me at a certain level. I'm going to turn on my video because I think it's kind of rude of me not to do it. So you guys get an idea of what I look like now. I don't look anything like I do then. Let's see. Can you guys see me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, often as an instructor, we talk at a level like up here, and we'll be just ranting and raving at a level up here. And our students are still at this level here. And so if you're often talking above your audience, then they have no idea what you're talking about. And in most cases, they're intimidated and they're just going to nod. They're just going to sit there and do that all the time. Well, this is that class that you don't want to do that for, because everything that you're going to be learning at the very beginning is going to be relevant throughout the entire semester, right? Not only that, it's going to be relevant in microbiology when you have to take or when you have to take organic chemistry, or when you have to take the next level, right? Courses. So it's really important that you get a good grasp and understanding. There's going to be a tendency, and often we're going to be intimidated or squashed, and we want to try to prevent that from happening. And part of that is by you guys being able to interact with me and the tutors. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to set up a time. I'm going to set out a survey, a time that would work for you guys for office hours. Now, these are going to be your office hours. So you guys are going to be the only ones that are going to be attending those office hours. And the goal is to make it accessible to you so that you guys are able to sit there and talk to me about anything that you need to talk to me about that pertains to the course. And then we will have another set that is called, I call them cocktail hours. And so what I'll do is I'll put you guys in the Zoom room with me during those cocktail hours. Cocktail hours are basically, I'll have a cocktail or a coffee or something to drink, or sometimes something to eat, because often it's right after my class. And those we can talk about anything you want to talk about, your pathway, how you want to get through school, anything you want to talk about. Now, the office hours or the student hours, those are mainly to try to get you guys through the course. Okay. And so we want to make sure that you guys have access to those. In addition to that, I have 5 tutors that will be helping you. I'll be posting their links and their schedules. We have to solidify their links. Unfortunately, I'm out of town, and it's hard for me to balance multiple things at once. And so I will be sending a message out to them to make sure that I have all their correct links, because we've had a lot of issues with links and things not working the way it's supposed to already. So I want to try to prevent that from happening again. So, okay. So the last part about this assignment. Let's see. Is the last part that you're going to be doing is the parody. Now, I think the parody is the best part. Again, you guys get to make a nice little music video. You guys are given a genre of music. So like the last group, it was Chemical Reactions. Their genre of music was Disney or sing-along. So you're going to do a Disney tune or a sing-along tune. And you guys are going to record a little video. Now, that video, it can be animation. It can be you guys in each of your different locations doing what you want to do. It can be anything that you guys find relevant, but it needs to be entertaining and it needs to be fun, because the idea of it is that the parody is used as a hook to get students engaged. So if you guys take a look at the modules, you guys actually had a parody in that very first module that you guys did. Hopefully it worked. And you'll see there's different ranges and different qualities. I'm not expecting you guys to give me professional quality. I mean, if you can, that'll be great. But I do expect you to put some time into it, because it is part of the project. And it's also getting you guys to think creatively, right? I think in college, we often do not think creatively, and or we don't think critically either. And so here's an opportunity to think a little bit critical and then also be creative with the process. Now, of course, I'm constraining your creativity by giving you guys genres and things to that extent, because I like to make it a little bit challenging. And then it also gives you guys, it's one less thing that you guys have to worry about when you guys get together and talk about, this is the song that we're going to be doing, and this is how we're going to be doing it. Are there any questions? And I have to say, by far, this is the best part of the course, I think, for me, is because I get a chance to see you guys sing and be entertaining. And you guys get to swing on the topic of the material that you guys have learned. So a lot of times I use this as an assessment to get an idea of how much material that you guys actually learn. And between the group project, that lets me know how truly involved in the course you were, or were you just putting stuff through ChatGPT to get through. Now, again, I want you guys to use those tools, right? But they are tools. They're not supposed to be supplements of you doing the work, if that makes sense. So to get your lyrics, to kind of work on your lyrics, to kind of get you started, yeah, go ahead and use it to help you with that. And that's okay. But when you do that, you need to also let me know. I need to know, again, how much of it was ChatGPT's idea and how much of it was your idea, right? And the idea is that we want to sit there and get you guys in the habit of using these tools, because they're going to be changing how we view science and how we view life, right? But we need to get in the habit of having checks and balances, because there's sometimes when they give us the wrong information, or we don't understand, like we may not truly understand what's going on, but you're going to put it in there and rely on this piece of instrumentation to sit there and provide you with an answer that may not necessarily be right. And so you need to be able to validate, to make sure that it's right. So like in the science realm, often we'll be using chemicals and pieces of equipment that we use for diagnostics. Now, if our standards are off, all of our diagnostics are off. So you'll get false positives. So have you guys ever taken a test and they gave you a false positive before? Like a
Yeah.
pregnancy test or like a COVID test or anything like that? No,
Yeah.
that's never happened to you?
It has.
It
Yeah.
has? Yeah. So the thing about AI is kind of like that test, right? So we need to make sure that we have the right controls and that we have a clear understanding that if that gives us the wrong pieces of information, right, that we can sit there and assess it and make sure that we have the right pieces of information, because you guys are going into areas that could really injure people. And so it's easy to sit there and put everything through AI now. I mean, I do it for certain things and then I catch myself. I'm like, hey, this is part of my job. I need to make sure that I'm validating, right? So if I sit there and decide to put all of your test grades, your test scores through AI to sit there and give you guys grades without reading over it or looking over it myself, you'd be a little upset, particularly when you know that you have the information correct, right?
Yeah.
You're wrong for it. I would assume. I'd be upset. Well, I guess you guys won't, so I guess I'll just start throwing everything
Yeah.
through it. Take me some time, right? Okay, so my point is that AI is going to be a big part of your life, and I want you guys to use it, but I want you to learn when and when not to use it. And we've talked about that. It's mentioned in the syllabus, but I want to put more emphasis while I'm talking to you guys as well too. Okay. Okay, so this is an opportunity to use it, but then also make sure that you guys are looking and playing with those lyrics, because I'm sorry, AI is not a rapper, so it's going to do a horrible job of getting you really good lyrics. So you want to sit there and give it that human component, because that's what's going to make it unique and make it good work, right? And I could sit there and I can smell AI like nobody's business, you know. Although most students don't think I can, but sometimes I let it go because I'm like, okay, this is going to bite them in the ass here later on. So
I have a question. There's two different messages in the chat asking if we still need to do the navigation organization like
yes,
if
so
that
this
zooms in.
this is what you guys are doing right now. So this is what it's going to
Okay.
be. Yeah.
Okay,
So
perfect.
because your canvas shell is actually a little different than what it initially was supposed to be. Actually, it's a lot different than what it was supposed to be. Because some of the issues that we were having earlier and some of the modifications that have been some of the updates that have changed. So your
Okay.
navigation is going to be a little bit, hopefully, I'm praying that it'll be a lot easier than it was in the past. Okay.
Okay,
And
awesome.
so the video that I had recording is gone completely, right? So
Okay, awesome.
yes, I'm hoping. Okay. So now let's talk about so we've talked about the other part. Now there's one last part of your group project that I wanted to talk about. I go to all my labs. It's your group peer review. So the last part is that you guys are going to actually grade each other. So I'll give you guys more of the parameters. What it is, there's going to be a little piece of paper that you guys are going to fill out and you guys are going to load up. And then you guys are going to actually grade all the members of your group that were in your group. And so, you know, if Allie, I'm going to use you as an an example here, right? Let's say
Okay.
Allie was me and Allie and Andrea and Samantha were all in a group together, right? And you know, Allie and Andrea and Samantha always met when we were supposed to meet, and I never showed. I stood them up every time, even though I said I was going to be there, right? And then you know, when it came down to writing our paragraphs and everything like that, or writing our 500 words, I wrote 100 and they wrote all the rest, right? And then when it came to the parody, I put my name on it and they didn't do it, and then I didn't do anything else, right? So what would be the grade that you guys would give me in that case?
Like a D.
You'd give me a D? You're nice. I'd give me an F, right? And
Well, at
so,
least you wrote 100 words, so I
oh,
guess it's
that's
not
true.
nothing.
I guess I did something, bare minimum, right? But that still to me is like F quality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that's what I'm talking about. And so I want you guys to evaluate each other, right? And so basically you're going to give each other grades on the work that you guys did for your project. You know, it's unfair for somebody to put in all of the work and do everything, and then everybody else get the grade for it. And so this is a balancing out tool. So you guys may end up with an A in the on your presentation and everything like that. But me being the slacker that I was, right, would end up with an F because, or not an F, a D, as Ali said, because she gave me a D on the evaluation. But that D is also going to impact because it's going to be heavily weighed on your group presentation. Now, there are going to be some circumstances, and I recognize this, that there are going to be personal issues that get into the way of things. We want to try to prevent, because this is a professional realm. If you're in a job and you have to evaluate your peers, you have to be professional, whether you like them or not. They may be ugly, stinky, and nasty, but if they do their job, you want to evaluate them on them doing their job. And so you don't want it to be personal. And so sometimes you guys may run into people that you know, you're not the best of friends with, and you guys have your arch nemesis. You can't grade your person, you can't grade that individual because you guys are arch nemesis. You want to grade them on what they've accomplished and what they've done for your project. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And usually in most cases, I don't have that problem, but we've had some situations, some heated situations at points. And so we want to try to prevent that from happening, nipping in the bud early. Now, if you guys happen to be arch nemesis, I'm still going to make you work together because in real life, you're going to have to work together. Okay, so why is I'm not seeing any of my messages here.
Mr. Kenneth, I have a question.
Yep.
So each group member turns in an essay, or it's like one, like someone has to turn, like they all work on it and like someone has to turn it in, or it's like one essay every person.
Okay. So for your page, it's one page per person. And so do you guys remember where we went to for our group earlier?
Yeah.
So we'll do that. I'll go back so you guys can see, but I have to go to my group because, okay, so you see where it says pages?
Yes.
So that's where you're going to put your page. Oops, sorry. And so here you're going to actually go ahead and start your page. And so this is an example. My group, we started our page here. We never finished, but you know, we started with a chemical equation and how to do a chemical equation. And I'm going to show you that real quick too. So the way that you get your page started is that you hit plus page. It'll actually get the page started. When you hit edit, it'll allow you to edit your page. So when you're trying to write your topic, and let's say you're doing chemical equations, for chemical equations, these lower letters, our numbers, they're gonna play a huge part. We want to always write our chemical formula with the symbols that they are. So if they're capital, lowercase, we want to make sure that they're written as capital and lowercase. So let me give you an example. So if I have PO right here, PO is polonium, right? So I'm going to always use capital P, lowercase o when I'm talking about polonium, because there's also capital P and capital O, which is that would be phosphorus and oxygen. Okay, so let me go back to so if we're talking about the chemical equation, capital P, capital O, so that is going to be a different compound than capital P, lowercase o. So this means, and this name for this compound is called phosphorus monoxide. Now, phosphorus monoxide it's a toxin. It's very unstable. it's not happy the way it is, and so it's going to want to react almost instantly. So it's kind of like a poison. It'll be a poison to us. Now, polonium is a metal. So I'll answer the questions. I'm starting to see they're finally popping up right now. Now, and polonium is a metal that it has various isotopes, and they're often unstable. And so they're a little radioactive, not horribly radioactive, but just a little bit. Okay, so let me see. There are questions. So do you guys have to do the organizational quiz? So I'm not going to require you guys to do the organizational quiz. It's just going to be based upon whether or not you get your lab or not. And so that's what we're going to kind of grade you on. If you get your lab, and so what it'll happen is that as soon as we order your labs, you guys are going to be able to sit there and you'll be able to sit there and get started on your lab and all your lab assignments. And so I'll use that as the assessment, whether or not you followed the organizational meeting. And again, this is going to be recorded because I know I'm going over a lot of things and you may need a refresher, but I'm going to put that up. And so this is going to be the new organizational meeting, but I'm not going to require you guys to do a quiz on it. Okay, and then the other one, the time frame to reach out to your members. So I'll extend it, and we may have to make some adjustments and change it because I noticed that there are people that have dropped the class since the time that I made the schedule. So we'll fix that so that you guys will start off with at least 4 members. And so start reaching out now, but give me a few minutes to sit there and make sure that you guys all have 4, because I know there's one group that has 3 right now. So we're going to try to make sure that you at least have 4 members and reach out to them. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, just out of curiosity, so like I know on the like where it's in modules, it says like MO1 and MO2. Are those more representative of like the week that we're in, or is it kind of just like
Good question. Okay, so because the material that we're covering, it's not going to be truly representative of the week. It's just, they're just the order of the modules that you're going to be going through. So sometimes your assignments will extend beyond that because we haven't covered everything that I would like to cover within a time frame. And I'm trying to be realistic about the time frames because if you had 2 parts to this very first one, 2 lectures for MO2, right? And so, and normally it takes me about 2 weeks to go over that. But you guys are doing everything in a crunched schedule. And so I'm also trying to take that in consideration as well. And so I haven't put up the MO3 yet because I don't want you to go until I make sure that you guys have all the components that you need for the MO2 first. Okay. So sometimes we'll bleed over. So, but ideally, I would like to have them set up as weeks, but it just doesn't seem to work out that way. And so just do them in order as they come up. And then what's going to happen here soon is that they're all going to start coming up.
okay.
So there's a concern about the kits. So the kits are actually designed, so we're not expecting you guys to get the kits until you guys are in your 4th week. That's when we're expecting you guys to get the kits. So you guys are going to be doing Labster labs. That's going to be virtual laboratories. And then towards the end, then you're going to be getting the hands-on labs. And there's going to be one every week to the last week that you guys have class. And so we've kind of set them up that way, and things that we can get away with using Labster for, we're going to do. The things that we can't get away with using Labster for, you guys are going to get the hands-on. But no, keep asking those questions because they help me, and they also help me in terms of getting that information to other students. And then they also help me in terms of preparing in the future as well. You guys are, so we did this last year, but it's changed quite a bit. I had 12 weeks instead of 8 weeks, and you guys are more like a guinea pig. Again, we did it this summer, but summer classes are different than fall classes. You have a lot more obligations and you're taking more classes, and I have a lot more obligations and I'm teaching more classes, and so there's a big difference, and so it's a reality check for me. So anytime that you guys have questions, keep asking me the questions, keep sending me. I know that I haven't answered a lot of them because I knew that I was going to be doing this today to get those answered. And then anything that you guys still may have questions on, shoot it out to me, text me, and I'll get back to you. Okay. Okay, so real quick, we're going to talk about subscripts. So let's say this guy had a subscript. So the way that we would do our subscript is that we would put the number there, we would highlight it, and then we'd use this symbol here. Now this symbol has two symbols underneath it. It has superscript and subscript, and it actually says superscript and subscript. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we would use subscript. Now subscripts always tell us the quantity of that particular atom that we have. So in this case, we're saying that we'd have 2 oxygens. That's going to be bonded to our phosphorus. This guy would have a different name in that case. We would call this guy dioxide. So it'll be phosphorus dioxide. Okay. Now, superscripts, the way that we typically use superscripts are typically used when we're talking about ions. So if I'm talking about, let's say, let's do the fluoride ion. You guys have heard of fluoride?
Yeah, like for your teeth.
Yes, exactly, for your teeth. Now, it's actually an ion. And so usually there's like sodium fluoride that's added onto your toothpaste, or it'll be potassium fluoride or some type of fluoride is added on. Okay, so, but it's just the ion. Ions are basically charged atoms. And so they become charged because they get an extra electrons. Electrons are negatively charged, or they lose an electron, which is, let's say, I should say, anions are negatively charged. Cations are positively charged. So fluoride is an ion. So the way that we would do that is that we would put that minus to represent it being negatively charged. And then we'd give it a superscript. So it'll be up top like that. Do you guys see it like that? I'll give you another one that looks easier to see. Let's say oxygen, it forms a -2. So we'd put 2 negative. So that tells me that I have 2 negative charges. And that's the way we would do our ions, okay? So it's important where we put numbers and symbols at, because that helps us understand whether something is charged or is not charged or what's going on, if that makes sense. Okay. So it's important for us to understand that we have all these tools that are available to us and how to use them. Now, there are other tools like the arrow here that we're going to have to use. Now, let's say, since I'm already superscript, how do I get out of superscript? The way that you would get out of superscript is that you would select it again, and then that would take you out of superscript. So now you'll see that we're no longer in superscript. Okay, so if I wanted to put the arrow there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the arrow. Sorry. Oops, sorry. Somebody got kicked out of the room. So it's going to be recorded for those who are still here if that happens to you. So just get back in, but it will be recorded. So you guys will see anything that you missed. So what you're going to do is hit the 3 dots. And then you're going to go down to the square root. Okay, so you're going to select the square root. Now, the square root has all of our basic mathematical operations. It also has Greek letters, because sometimes we may need Greek letters. It has other operators. It has relationships. And it has our arrows. And so we're going to be using the arrow. Now, the arrow always lets us know that we're making something, or we're generating something, or we're what we use often is called the yield. We're yielding something. So we're going to go ahead and put our arrow in. And so, let's see, I'm going to make up an equation real quick here. Let's do NA. Okay, so this is the sodium ion. This is the oxide ion. So when it comes together, it makes sodium oxide, where there's two sodiums that we need. So to do that, remember, we're going to use the subscript to make two of those. And so that would be the compound that's made. Now, if you look at this, these guys are going to have to balance each other out. And that's what they do. They balance each other out in terms of charges. This is called an ionic compounds because it's two ions that are forming it. It's our anion and our cation. So an ionic compound is always composed of an anion and a cation that comes together and balance out each other's charges. Each of the sodiums, one sodium is a plus, so we need two of those sodiums. And then when we write it independently, when they're not bonded together, it's going to be written as two sodium ions. And then when we write it, when they're coming together, it's because it's bonded together, it's going to be Na2 subscript oxygen. And it's important for us to understand that because all of those things play a huge part. So it's important for us to be able to use all of those different things, the superscript, the subscript, the charges, all of that plays a part in chemistry. And we'll be talking about that throughout the semester. So I'm not going to try to throw it all to you at once right now. But I want you guys to know that this is where you find it. Remember, this plays a huge part when you're looking for it. So, and these are all your tools that are going to be available to you to use. Okay. Questions? No questions? Good. Anybody want to give me cash? No
No.
cash either? Come on, I need to make money, you know? Okay. So I just want to make sure you guys are still there. Let's see. So let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and I'm going to save this for my next. Okay, so now you guys are so excited. You guys want to get your labs. Are you guys nervous about your labs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why? Why are you nervous?
I don't think I'm nervous. I think I'm stressed out.
You're stressed out?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna tell you right now, don't be stressed out. We're gonna make it through this. I tell all my students we're gonna make it. It may take me forever to grade, but we're gonna make it through this. Okay. So if you stick with me, you'll make it through it. Even if you don't stick with me, you know, eventually you'll make it through it. But you know, we'll get you there. We'll get you to the finish line. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to modules. And let me make sure that it's active. Okay, module. So we're getting ready to, that's not the one I want. It's important links. Okay. Okay, so I always worry about opening it up because I worry that it's going to blow up in my face. Okay, so we're going to go to lab exercises. We're going to go ahead and get to getting started. Now, what I've done in the past, I would put them both under lab exercises and under the modules that they were supposed to be in. But what I'm going to just do here from here on out, they're all going to go under the modules that they're supposed to be in, except for this one, because this one is the one that kind of gets us all started for everything. This one, lab safety and inventory. Okay, so those are the three that. So what I would like you guys to do, I want all you guys, can you guys all see it now? Let me go back.
Yeah, I can see that first link.
Okay, you guys can see it. Can you guys see it in your Canvas shell?
Yeah.
Okay, now you're gonna have to use Chrome for this. And then when you do the labs, always use Chrome. That's when things don't work, it's because we're not using Chrome. Okay. Okay, so what you guys are going to do, you all are going to go there, and it should take us. There we go. Good. It should take you to getting started. So you should see something like this. You guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, whew. So that's good. I always worry because this has been one of my banes. Last time it was just anything you could think of could go wrong, went wrong. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to go up to the top, and then you're going to go where it says My Account. Then you're going to go ahead and enter your information, enter your location, and you're going to save that. I'm going to put my help center real quick. I'm trying to show you what it looks like on your side. Yeah, we had to do all of these special things to get you guys linked up. Okay, trying to find the student part. Hold on. Okay, so I'll go back. It doesn't show me on my end. So I'm going to ask one of you guys to do me a favor. Do you mind sharing your screen? Anybody who's okay with doing that? Any volunteers?
I'm doing it on my phone, or else I would.
Okay. So it's going to be hard to do it on your phone.
I can do it.
You can do it? Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to navigate you there since it doesn't show up on my side, even though I chose. This is also part of the problem. It's like when we do make the changes. Okay, perfect. So if you go to the very top, do you see where it says enter code or purchase kit? We're going to hit purchase kit since we're going to be purchasing our kit. So now you're just going to go ahead into your shipping information, and then your kits should, like I said, they should cost you about 140 something, 150 something along those lines. And then plus $16 shipping and handling, which drives me crazy. But you're going to go ahead and enter that information, and then you'll hit 159. There you go. Okay. Yeah. And so you want to make sure that you're sending it to your address. Don't send it to me because it isn't going to do me any good. Okay. We had a few students that did that last year. So definitely send it to your address. Okay. That's horrible still. Okay, so I will, now you can stop sharing your screen so we don't have to see everything else. But try to get your kits, as soon as you can get them. And I apologize for them costing 200. It's a lot cheaper than what they were before. They were at $400, and so we've gotten them brought down a lot more. And I'm still working on it. I want them to try to be a flat rate of like 100, if that. And part of it is because you guys are doing this from home, and it makes it harder for us to provide those services and stuff. But you at least don't have to pay for active learning now. You got that taken care of. But that's how you would find your kit. Now it's going to be essential. Samantha, if you don't mind, because I didn't want you to have to enter your information while you were right there and us looking at it. But if you don't mind going back to your page, and then what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the next two that you're going to have to do, and they're going to be opened up today. And so the next two that you would have to do, I can show you on my end, I believe. Hold on.
Oh,
Let me check. Gosh, so many classes. So this is awesome. We got 4 of you guys already on there. Okay, so let me share my screen.
I just have a question.
Yeah.
It more for anybody else that just ordered or is ordering. Is your shipping also showing up as $26, or is it
So
because I'm
they
on
told
base?
me it was $16. That was the shipping that they gave me. So you're asking, so anybody else who's done it, are you guys getting different shipping amounts?
mine's also $25.95.
Yeah.
Mine's is too.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I was
let
like, I
me,
wasn't sure if it's because
yeah.
I'm on base, because sometimes they try to charge more when you're on base, but okay, at least it's everybody else.
Okay. So and I'll also talk to them about that because like I said, they had told me that it was going to be 16 and for you guys. So, and I'll try to see if we can get them to honor what they had said before. So I'll reach out to them again. And usually, yeah, I'll see what I can do. Yeah. Because I know that little bit, it's a little bit, but it's a lot at the same time, still.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, at the end of the
almost
day, it's
$10
still
more.
less than 200. It's like 196.88 is what comes out to with like the tax and everything. So it's still under 200.
Yeah, yeah. But that's still, I'm like, man, that is so much, we want to try to make it affordable, and 200 is still kind of pushing that limit. I mean, I guess our books cost that much, and then so if you sit there, you think about you pay for a book, but still, it's still a lot. So I'm still looking. I'm trying to find a better way. And the thing is that I like about this company is because the equipment that they send you guys is actually laboratory equipment. They're not just sending you cups so you guys get a chance to actually use some laboratory equipment. And that's one of the bigger things because you become familiar with that equipment. So if you guys take a look, you guys have multiple lessons, and I think it actually shows up on your side, the lessons that. So you're going to have inventory and everything like that. But when you go, you're going to always have to go through the Canvas shell to get through there. So if I don't have them open, you're not going to be able to get in. And so I'm going to open up all your labs and just go through them at your own pace just to try to get them done, long as they're completed by the end of the semester. I prefer you guys getting them done early rather than late. And sometimes you may have a little more trouble because we haven't gone over that topic. But again, I'm going to start opening up all your modules. I have the videos recorded. I had planned to make new videos for you guys. And so you may get some of the later ones may be replaced with the newer videos because we're going to work our way backwards with me and the new adjunct instructor who's going to be working with me on revamping our videos and the labs. And he's actually going to be working with you guys in terms of the labs. And so he's going to do a day and I'm going to do a day. And so then that way there will be 2 days that we're going to have labs that are going to be recorded. And then we're going to take the ones that is the best video. Hopefully mine is the best. So I'm competitive if you can't tell. Okay. Any questions? And so these, like I said, these first three, because it's just lab safety, you should be able to go through that pretty fast. And then the inventory, you're just going to inventory the kit when you get the kit. And so those aren't really labs, they're just going through the process. You're going to have the lab techniques and measurements, which you guys have sort of done. So in a way with the active learning, I mean, not active learning, with the Labster kit, then you're going to do separation of mixtures, and that's just going to look at the different properties and stuff like that. Then chemical observations. I have to say my very best lab is the observations of chemical change. Those are pretty good. And then the other part is going to be more chemistry based, the mole, stoichiometry, digital acid base. So those are all going to be important for you guys to get done. Okay, questions?
Is there anything that we'll need that isn't included in the lab kit, like safety
Yes.
goggles or anything like that?
No, so safety goggles are going to be included in the kits.
Okay.
But there are going to be other things that are like, because they're not going to ship off the deionized water because that's too much. Your shipping cost would be so much.
Yeah.
And so they may have you pick up deionized water. They may have you pick up, let me see, what was the other one that was deionized water. And there was one other thing that they ask you to go and purchase. But if you read the labs, they actually will tell you, let me see.
Like if you need pencil, paper, like
That's
the
right.
kind of
Yeah. Yeah. Things like that.
essential things.
Yeah. So, but it's just basically simple things that you can buy at the store. You may already have in your kitchen. You know,
Okay.
they recommend that you guys use an aluminum pan, like a pie pan.
Mhm.
The reason why is because then that way you don't mess up your kitchen table.
That
Things
makes
to
sense.
that. Okay.
Do all of these labs beyond like the getting started and the safety require us to have the kit?
Yes, unfortunately, all of these labs do, but the Labster labs, they don't because they're virtual labs. And so, but some of the concepts, like for instance, we'll be talking about ionic and covalent bonds. So we can get started on that. And then you guys will experience a little bit more when you do the chemical change. So that's kind of incorporated in there.
Okay.
Yeah. So on the average, you're going to be doing two labs a week, roughly.
Okay. And the other thing that I was curious about, which this is just me not really understanding how this works. For the book, the temp book that you uploaded,
Mm-hmm.
I guess what makes it temporary?
Okay. Let's see. How can I say this since this is being recorded?
Oh, okay, I got you already.
Okay.
I was just curious.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me get that out. Yeah. So, and remember, I'm constantly trying to think about cost, right? And so, and that's, and it's also, I don't like you guys falling behind. Some people like hard copies of the book, and so they'll order a physical copy. There's also copies that are available to be checked out at Mesa in Coalinga. And I think maybe Mesa and Lemoore, but I'm not 100% sure. I can ask. So,
Okay.
um, yeah. And then if there isn't a copy there, reach out to me or Mr. Soto, and then maybe we can set up an exchange. But you have to bring it back at the end of the semester. So,
Okay, perfect.
yeah.
Is Mr. Soto our other teacher?
No, Mr. Soto is the Mesa director in Coalinga.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Cool
I should
beans.
elaborate that. The
Okay.
other teacher is Mr. Thompson. And
Okay.
you guys have to bear with him. This is going to be, well, I mean, it'll be his first time teaching a course. So, he's still learning. And so I'm going to show him some ropes and hopefully teach him to do a better job than what I've done. So, so that's the goal. Yes, and so he's just literally just been added to the course as of yesterday. So,
Okay, cool beans.
any other questions? No other questions? Okay. So, any questions about the M&M lab? Everybody was able to get that done?
I actually haven't done it yet. I thought that the 2 was for the second week.
Yeah.
That was my mistake, but I'm doing it today.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I should also clarify that. So we'll make that. So those M2 doesn't mean the second week or the third week. It just means that that's the order of the modules. And again, you'll see the reason why, because there will be certain times that we'll actually have 3 lectures, and then so it, but again, I'm going to try to have them all up because I know some of you guys are really anxious about getting them knocked out of the way because you guys are like, let's get this done. So
I think
okay.
the Zoom that you did with it, like the recording for it, helped a lot, especially with the graphs, because I had
Good.
no clue that you can make a graph off of Excel like that. So
Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad it helped out. And yeah, and you can also do it with Google Docs as well, or Google Sheets. So
I have a question about the exams, how they're done, I guess. How long is it open for? Like,
So typically what I do is I give you guys a practice exam. And so the exams are typically very much like the practice exams. And then I will give you about a week to do the exam itself.
oh, okay.
So I'll open up
So,
the practice exam and the exam together, and you'll have a week to complete it.
okay, so if it's because on the syllabus it says exam 1 is November 2nd, which is a Saturday, so that's just like when it would be due.
Yes, so that would be the end date. Although, yeah, that should actually work out. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not gonna rob you guys, because that means I have to be posting it here this week. So you guys will have at least part of this week to get started, and then the end of next week to get it completed. Yeah.
Oh, I think.
And the exams, are those the ones that are
Proctor.
yes, okay.
Yes.
And is that
Yeah.
like, because I've only done one like proctor experience before, just when I was doing like my medical billing and coding certification,
Yeah.
and they were like super specific about like you can't have like anything in the background, can't have anything on your desk, you have to be faced a certain way like towards the door. Is it like
Yeah.
specific like that, or is it more just like don't be shisty?
So it really is meant to be don't be shisty. There are some specifications, like, I mean, you can be in your room, you could be working and everything like that. You shouldn't have your cell phone near you at any point like that. You shouldn't have your,
Right.
I always say, because what happens on my end, it's actually recording you. And I'll tell you some past experiences that we've had. So it'll be recording you, and it'll be recording the page, what's happening on your laptop. And so I've had situations where students were using their phones and they were reading the questions into their phones using an AI. And so, things like that, I pick up on things like that. And then they're typing into their AI next to them on another laptop. And, so we've had situations like that. I've had, classic situations where literally this one student had her brother take her exam. She was a very petite woman and he's this big burly guy. He goes in and takes her exam for her and stuff like that. I mean, so it's mainly to keep things like that from happening. But, you go in, your kids running on you and stuff like that. I see those things all the time. And, this one time that there's one girl, a cat jumped on her. But what happens is that it shouldn't kick you out for things like that. it's set up to just, it picks up the noise and everything like that, and I'll see the cat running all over you. And so, but it'll give me a little blurb that it had noises that were going on. So I'll go over there and I'll check those areas where there's those spikes. And so those
Right.
anomalies. If you're like constantly, because it pays attention to where your head's at, if you're constantly doing this, constantly doing this, constantly doing that, then it's going to give me, hey, they're constantly moving their head. You know, you need to take a look at it. But I also allow you guys to use your lab packets. And so I'll also mention that I have lab packets at the library, and they probably have not been picked up because people didn't really pick them up. I'm sorry, I call them chemical packets. So the chemical packets, which has your periodic table, it's in color, it has all of the tables that are available, all of that that's in, I think it's in your,
The chemistry packet handout?
yep,
Okay.
yeah. So I always give those out. I have them available at all of the campuses that are close to most students. So there'll be some in the library in Fireball. There'll be some that'll be available in Lemoore. There'll be some that'll be available in Coalinga. So you just swing by and pick them up, and you know they're in color for you. You don't have to print them out. We have them printed out for you. But typically, I don't get too many students that pick them up, so they've been sitting there. And then almost all your lecture notes, I also print out, but they're printed out in the triple, so you can take notes on the lecture notes. I'm a paper person. I like paper. I write on paper. I do better doing it that way than the screen. But you know, it's just me. My eyes are getting bad. The screens really hurt my eyes, and so I feel like I'm getting old. So yeah.
Will any of the tests require us to like do any kind of like math where we would need like scratch paper and a pencil, or is it all like
Yes. Yeah.
okay?
And so almost all your tests are going to require you to use scratch paper and a
Yeah,
pencil.
I kind of figured.
Yeah. So that's going to be, you can't avoid it, you know?
Okay, so we're allowed to have that and look down
That's
if
right.
we're writing, but it'll
That's
be
right.
more obvious. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's clear. It's also when you're on a problem, when your problem is all multiple guess, and, you know, it's like, so what color is, you know, blue, and, you know, or, you know, and you have to identify the blue color, you know, and you're like, looking on your computer. And believe me, I've had some people, not, it wasn't like that simple of a question, but something along the lines, and they're just looking and looking. And I'm like, come on now. You're going to tell me that you have to look this up, right? So I'm like,
Yeah, that's the
so
giveaway.
yeah. Yeah. So, you know, and we're trying to keep the validity of the course. I mean, that's one of the reasons why some of the other institutions accept it, because they've had students that have come from our college and they learn the material. And so we're getting credibility, you know. And so the more that we're able to sit there and keep it legit, then the better off, you know, it helps our system. You know, I had a few, like I said, last semester that didn't quite make it to the finish line because of their choices. So, and I don't know why, because I give them so many opportunities to make it to the finish line, you know. So, okay. Any other questions? And you'll notice like we have it set up in the morning that you guys can come in, and you guys can come in and do the lab with me. And then so we'll actually get in a habit of having that set up. I'm out of town this week, so we won't be able to do it. And really, you're going to have 2 labs a week. So, but the idea is that for one lab, I'd like to have you guys help you guys through it. And then we'll have a recording for the other lab. So then that way you guys will be able to see both of them if you need them. And then, but at least one, I'm there with you guys, so that if there are any questions, we can sit there and work our way through it. And, you know, sometimes there'll be issues with the kit. It doesn't behave right. You're expecting a certain answer and it gives you something entirely different. That's normal. You know, that's just, unfortunately, that's chemistry sometimes. Okay. Okay, so I want to go over a couple of things with active learning. I know that there were some issues. Yeah, this is the one. I was playing with it yesterday. So let me see if I can get this exit problem. So you're going to see the back end. Let's go back. Possibly. Yeah, this is what happens too. Yeah, this is usually what happens to me when I'm playing with stuff. I get a lot of crashing and because I have everything open at once. Okay. This is not the right one. Okay, so you guys will notice that you have a late deadline. So I'm kind of laid back on this. My biggest thing is that I want you guys to learn chemistry. That is the thing that I push. And I know that you guys are you're constantly doing things and you have this going on. And you have, you have to take the kids to the soccer game and this. And so sometimes you're not going to be able to make the deadline that you thought. So I always give you a little bit more time to make the deadlines. So I don't penalize you for it if you guys meet that deadline. Now, if it goes beyond that and I open it again, then I'll start penalizing for it. So, but the goal is that I want to try to make sure that you guys learn the material. Let's see, what was the one? There were a couple of questions that kept coming up. This was one of them. So now, the way that they want you to solve this problem, they don't want you to sit there and use the equal sign. They want you to do it stepwise. So we're doing each step. So you're not going to be using the equal sign. You're just going to kind of set things up so that you can start working towards the problem. And this particular one, I got a few calls on it, and then I had to go and work it out. Let's see, actually, let's do this. 2, 5. Now, the way that we would set this guy up is that we'd have it multiplied and then we'd have it over 10. And we know that this is 10s. So over 1. And so that will be our very first part. So that's going to be the very first response that we have. We don't want to use the equal sign here because, again, we're just working through the steps. Okay. So now that I did that, it says, okay, so that's a good one. What's next? So then we know that the 5 is going to be able to cancel out to the 10. So then I could have say 2 and then over 1 times, because the 5 is going to cancel that out. And then that'll be 2s. Oops. Hopefully it'll allow it. And I realize that it's very finicky. And slow. Okay, so then okay. So, and it shows, okay, so you did it that way. This is how that I would normally do it and everything like that. And this is how we end up with it. But it's each step rather than putting the equal sign in one step. It wants you to go step by step. And then, so that's what it says, show you your work by submitting steps to solve the problem. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And let me see the other one. There's something about vertical. And I had a few students contact me about that one. And this is just to get you guys back in the practice of, because I know a lot of you guys haven't touched math in a while. And so it's just to get you guys back in the practice of doing some of the math. You know. Which one it was. Hmm. Try this one. Maybe it's this one. Not that one. Nope. Yeah, I could have sworn it was under this assignment.
Which one are you looking for?
There's one that it asked specifically about vertical. It's like solve the equation vertically. And oh. Yeah. So let's see. I guess I don't see it. If it ever comes up again, a couple of students have sent it to me. Maybe it was in another class, but could have sworn maybe it's this one. Hold on. No.
As I say, I did both of the homeworks, but I don't remember seeing a problem about it being vertical.
Yeah. I'll have to reach out. It might have been another class. Or it might be another student. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see it either. So it might have been another student from a different class. But I don't recall them giving that to them, but okay. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if there's no other questions, I'm gonna let you guys go. You can finish getting started. Oh, let me go to that real quick. So you guys know that there are 3 parts. Let me explain that. This is what happens when you have 50 million windows open. There we go. Okay, so your 3 parts is your exploration. Exploration basically kind of gives you the information about everything, and it tells you how long it's going to take and how long each of them are going to take. Your labs as a whole typically are going to take you about 3 hours. And it's pretty accurate if you go through everything the way you're supposed to. So make sure you block off that amount of time. The experimental, it's going to take you, that's going to be your bulk of your time. Now, the materials that you're going to need at the beginning, this is what you need to supply. So it'll tell you this, the materials that are needed to be supplied. And then this is where you're going to do your data, or you're going to record answers to things. And so you want to make sure that you go through all of the steps to answer all of the questions, because that's how you're going to get your points. And then evaluation is just to make sure that you understand what you're supposed to do. And then it's more questions that they'll ask you. Okay. Any questions? Okay. If there aren't any other questions, I'm going to let you guys go. And then that gives me a chance to go back to my conference and learn some more stuff and hopefully find a way of getting some money back to Kalinga for new programs.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Good luck with everything. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a text.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye.